Hey guys, it's Joe with Modern Survival. A couple weeks ago I did a test of the Zip fire starters, the premium all-purpose fire starter. Burns for up to 18 minutes. Anyways, during that video I said I was going to save this cube and test it out in a week to see if it's still lit. Well, it's been 2 weeks and I haven't tested it yet. The reason I did that is because it's been sitting in an Altoids tin. There's a reason for that, because this thing smells god-awful. If you've ever smelled kerosene, well, guess what? You have a brick that smells like kerosene. So, let's go ahead and test this out to see if it still works after 2 weeks. Now, today's video is going to be brought to you by nitrile gloves. Nitrile. Stuff that you wear when you don't want chemicals on your hands. Commenter made a very good point. I should be wearing gloves when dealing with these because these say very specifically not to handle them. There's a reason for that. It is kerosene. It says avoid contact with skin and eyes. You really don't want to handle these with your hands as if you could handle them with any other part of your body. So, this is the same cube that I cut from just, like I said, 2 weeks ago. We're going to see if we can get this to start back up. From a preliminary smell and nose touch, it still stinks. That's why it was in an Altoids can. One thing to note about any type of gasoline type of item or kerosene smelling item is the fumes can be flammable, so I tried to maintain them sort of. This is not an airtight container, so I thought maybe it'd be okay, you know, for testing purposes and all. So let's go ahead and actually let's try this out. This is one of my favorite fire starters. And this was another one that I noticed that it was getting discolored, and I was afraid that it wasn't going to work. So, let's go ahead and see after a couple of weeks if this one will start, and then we'll go ahead and get to that one as well. Let's kind of do it 2-in-1, shall we? Alright, so we're going to go ahead and start with the fire patch, the sure to burn fire starters that you can find at your local, I believe it's Home Depot. They're usually about $3 or $4 for about 12 of them. Not a bad choice if you want some sort of long-term emergency fire starting solution. So I've got a piece of it. This has been open for 2 weeks. It's been sitting out, not inside of anything. So we're going to see if it will still light. Now I'm going to go ahead and put a disclaimer on this. With it open and exposed to the elements, you're not going to want to have it like this for a prolonged period of time. So even if this does work, you're going to have to be mindful, because if you look at this, if you can even see that, probably not, it's really hard to tell. The outside is a white color, whereas the inside is kind of a yellowish color. So it looks like, you know, it may have the component too light, but I imagine over a prolonged period of time that is going to eventually go away. So, to test this out, I'm going to go ahead and chop this up real quick with a knife that I'm not going to be using for food prep. If you do, you better make sure that you're cleaning this off properly, because you do not want any type of chemicals to mix with your food. You're going to end up with a bad day. Alright, you want to chop that up fairly fine because it'll take a spark better. Okay, so sitting out for 2 weeks. I'm going to take our trusty fire starter, hit the fan, and there we go. We have fire. Ta-da! It's been sitting out for 2 weeks. So, if if all else fails, you know that one of these fire patches, if you don't use the whole thing for one fire, you can save it for at least 2 weeks. Because this one I've had in my possession for probably 2-3 years, and I just recently opened it, exactly like 2 weeks ago. So here it is, it still lights up. That's kind of cool. Again, you don't want to assume that it's going to work, but what you can do, which I didn't think of before, instead of using one whole patch to light a fire, you could take just a portion of it and then save the rest for future fires, say for the next several days. That's kind of nice. Alright, as that is going out, I'm going to switch over to this, a fire cube from Zip. Premium fire starters. Come on. Alright, it's out. Let all the smoke go out because I don't want the smoke alarm to go off. Generic knife I'm never going to use for food prep. Scrape some off. Now again, this smells highly like kerosene. Primarily because it is using kerosene. I don't know why I did that much. Probably didn't need it. Set it off to the side. I'm going to chop the rest of it up. Again, the finer you make this material, the easier it is to accept a spark from a ferro rod. So it's worth taking the extra half a minute to a minute to try to make it as fine as you possibly can, so that you don't expend too much of your fire steel. Not that your fire steel is going to go away anytime soon, but it's better to allow it, the fewest amount of strikes to light so that you have more fires from your fire steel. Now that's a lot of material compared to what I did last time, but let's see if it'll light, shall we? One strike. And look at that. Ooh. Gotta get some of that smoke. That is very sooty. Now again, you want to do this in a very well ventilated area. If you don't, you're going to end up with possibly carbon monoxide poisoning, and that's not a good thing. So you want to definitely be careful. Anytime you're dealing with chemicals, also deal with some sort of protective layer so that your skin does not absorb those chemicals. In this case, we're dealing with kerosene. I've known from past experience that nitrile is a very good material for chemical resistance. I'm not going to say that it's going to protect you from everything, but it's a good base layer. Alright, well, that's actually burning for quite a while. I'm trying to hold it underneath the fan so that it sucks up some of this stuff. It's not going to set the alarm off, but it's better safe than sorry, right? Well, it did a pretty good job. I'm surprised that it did light up. Well, sort of. Like I said, it is very strong with the kerosene smell. So it's not that surprising that it lit up, but the fact that it lit up 2 weeks after I opened it from the package, that's kind of nice. That means I can take a portion of this fire starter and start up a fire and then use more of it later on. You're talking, a week, 2 weeks. That's pretty good for a fire starter. So, I mean, if you look at it, alright, this is what I have left, right? I've started technically, theoretically, 2 fires with that. Well, here's the original fire starter. Look at that. I haven't used that much. So you're talking about 2 fires is, you could probably, if you're real frugal with the material, you could probably literally use this for a fire a night or day for 2 weeks. So So I am very impressed with this material. I'm definitely going to have to include this with my fire kits, and you'll see that in upcoming videos. Alright guys, well if you enjoyed the video, go ahead and give me a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Until next time, this is Joe. See ya.